meeting. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. This meeting of online presenters is now begun. Guests, please note that in order to become a member of our club, you must be a current or a former active member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 official Toastmaster speeches. If you have substantial presentation experience, you may apply for membership after you demonstrate your abilities in a 2 to 3 minute speech during one of our club meetings. Our requests for membership are subject to the approval of the members of our club. If you have not done so yet, please change your panel to ensure that it shows your name and role if you have one. Right-click and select rename to do so. We have members and guests from many countries throughout the world. Thus, as a professional organization, we ask that you please be aware of language and word usage that may be considered offensive and otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note that we are recording the meeting and that your video and audio contribution may be used for club marketing purposes. Also, please mute your microphone when you are not speaking. And I ask you now to join me in welcoming to the stage our club president, DTM Lou Brown.
Thank you very much, Madam Sergeant at Arms, and welcome everyone. Welcome back, Kimberly. Very nice for you to join us again, and very nice to hear that you will soon be joining us. Woohoo! Can't wait for that. I assume you have spoken with Marianne already, our Vice President of Membership. She's not with us here tonight, but if you have any questions, feel free to private message me in the chat tonight. Be happy to help you out. We have a full meeting tonight. 3 wonderful speeches. 3 excellent evaluators. I hear that number 3 person is really excellent evaluator. Can't wait to hear and see if that's true or not. Guess we'll see. Anyway, let's kick off things right away. Before we go to our Toastmaster, though, our Vice President Education has at least one announcement that I'm aware of, maybe more. Mr. VP.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'm going to share my screen and let everyone see where we are and how we're doing. First, this is known in Toastmasters world as the dashboard. And you can see the different goals that every club has set and what we've accomplished and what we have left to accomplish. This does not include what I just put in tonight, which are 2 awards for Smalenko, and you'll see that in a moment. But this shows that we needed 1 more person achieving a level 1. We needed 1 more person to achieve a level 2, 2 more people to achieve level 2, 1 person to 2 people over here for level 3, and we need 3 more club members, and then we'll have all our goals completed, and maybe we can get that done before December 31st. Next, just wanted to give a high shout out to those members of the club who have accomplished certain things already. And these are the dates most recently where they've accomplished those things, including Angela Heath, who has done 1 and 2 in both presentation mastery and visionary communications, and Donna Knight, who has done 1 in effective coaching. And as you can see right here, Andre in innovative planning has done level 1 and level 2. So congratulations to all our members who are kicking butt and not taking numbers. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. VP, and thank you for sharing where we stand in the world of DCP. Congratulations, Andre. Congratulations, Donna. Congratulations, Angela, and Angela. Wonderful job, all of you. Let's kick things off right away. We're going to pass it over to our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Andre Smalenko.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'm a Toastmaster of the day, and I'll make sure that with the help of aliens, This meeting runs nicely and smoothly. And the theme for today's evening is, do you believe in aliens? According to the Google Dictionary, an alien is hypothetical or fictional being from another world. And through history of human being, the topic of aliens always been a bit puzzled. Some people believe in aliens and some people don't. Personally, I do, as you can see on my background. Interestingly, according to the New Yorker magazine, alien dreams have always been powered by the desire of human importance in vast, forgetful cosmos. We want to see so we know we exist. Isn't it interesting? Well, there are so many facts and mysteries about aliens, but there are some undisputed facts, just two of them I want to share with you. The fact number one, apparently the earliest records of UFO or identified flying objects sites was in 1440 BC in Egypt. At the same time, to those skeptics who still question whether aliens exist, listen carefully to this fact. Astrobiology is the official science and study of extraterrestrial life. Astrobiology. The NASA Astrobiology Institute was formally established in 1998 to develop astrobiology as a field and provide scientific framework for flight missions. Just imagine that. So after that, I think we all should believe in aliens. And I will strongly advise you to use the theme of aliens in your speech if you can. I won't be running this evening by myself, even though we have three amazing speakers today. We have three evaluators, table topics, meeting full and packed with interesting subjects. I will be using the help of a team. And the first person on my team is a timer. Timer, Mr. Nick Lacani, please explain what you're going to do today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. The timer is going to reside on the Millennium Falcon, like this, until you get through. We get to the timing lights. For the prepared speeches, it'll be 5, 6, and 7 minutes, for example. At 5 minutes, I'm going to show my green background, just like this. At 6 minutes, yellow, and 7 minutes, red. Obviously, table topics are going to be 1, 1.5, and 2, and evaluators are going to be 2, 2.5, and 3. If anybody requires an audible timer, audible warning, please let me know in the chat. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Timer. And the second very important role in our meeting is Mr. Grammarian, Hector Cabrera. Please explain what is your role.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster of the day. First of all, my role as a grammarian includes listening for the use of the word of the day. The word of the day today is cacophony, which means a harsh, discordant mixture of sounds. Example, a cacophony of deafening alarm bells. And I'll be listening for that, as well as good exemplary use of the English language phrases that paint a picture in our head. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Hector. That was insightful info into your role. And that next team player for this evening is Lucas Calafel, and his role as a vault counter. Lucas, please explain what you're going to do today.
Yes, I am going to be collecting all the votes using an online tool. I also volunteered to be the odd counter, so happy to serve in that role as well. But as an odd counter, what I'll do is listen for the common catchwords that we use in everyday language, everyday speech, and report back towards the end of the meeting. Back to you.
Excellent, Lucas. Lucas has agreed to do a double role today. We'll see if he's up for it. Hopefully with the aliens' help, he can do it. And the next team player on our agenda is Watcher, Angela Heath. Please explain your role.
In my role as watcher, it means that I am no longer allowed to take a nap during the meeting because I have to keep my eyes on you. So I will be looking around to see anything that I feel is very interesting and different and unique. And I'll give my report at the end of the meeting. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Angela. And we're moving on to the next team player. For aliens or not, we don't know, but we will find out. And our unique online presenter's role is chat monitor. And our chat monitor for the evening is one of the newest club members is Imtinam Maxim. Imtinam, please.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the day and fellow Toastmasters. So first thing is that I'm not alien, and I don't have any alien sport. So I will watch the chat of the people who are chatting on the chat box, and I will see that how the people use the chat box, what kind of words they are using, what are the discussions happening in the chat box. I will report at the end of the session to Toastmaster of the day and the fellow Toastmaster for what kind of chatting is happening. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Imtinan. Right, and now we get into a really interesting part of the evening, prepared speeches. We have 3 experienced and very interesting speeches today. And the first speaker is Rick Durling. During a 30-year career as a project executive with IBM, Rick frequently spends months in various cities leading projects. For one project, Rick lived for nearly 2 years at the Palmer House, Hilton, in the middle of the Chicago Loop. Evenings gave Rick ample time to sample a wide selection of excellent restaurants in Chicago. Today, Rick will be sharing a story about his time in Chicago. Let's welcome Rick Zarling. He was coming towards me. Rick Durling.
He was coming towards me, and whether I moved to the right or the left, he kept coming at me. Now you may wonder how I ended up in this situation. The story begins in 1997, when I was the project exec assigned to help First Chicago NBD resolve their year 2000 issues. That put me in the middle of Chicago at the Palmer House Hilton. And if you're not familiar with Chicago's Loop, the Palmer House Hilton is just about the middle of it. And from there, I was able to explore Chicago in the evenings, going to great restaurants, finding the best places for happy hour, and walking all over Chicago to discover the things that native Chicagoans might not even be aware of. It was an excellent time to be in Chicago. And as my experience with Chicago developed, I became known as a person who really knew where things were in Chicago, where to go to have a nice meal or to have a very enjoyable happy hour. So my team and people from Chicago would come to my desk asking me, where would you recommend if I wanted to hear some music and just relax, or perhaps have dinner? My team also included the people at the Palmer House Hilton. The concierge often helped me find great restaurants, and I would come back and tell them in an excited way how wonderful the experience was. After a year of that, they finally turned to me and said at the Chicago Hilton, Rick, would you be willing to represent us at new restaurants who want us to come and sample it so that we can recommend it to our customers. Being a foodie, this was like being asked to just go and have a wonderful time. Of course, I said yes. And my reputation continued to grow as a person who knew Chicago extremely well. About that year in, I was also beginning to date who would be my future wife. And she was assigned to a project working for Chicago MDD as well. And her project team, unfortunately, was based in the Detroit area. But they every once in a while had to come to Detroit or to Chicago and have meetings and handle different things that were going on there. So of course, who did they turn to but me to find where to go in the evening? And I had a great time, even though I technically was wearing a little hat and was a tour guide. It was the most fun I could ever have. There I am escorting my future wife and her clients as well to the various things that are really the cool parts of Chicago. It took them all over the place. Now, the interesting part about this whole experience is when Carol, my wife now, completed a major portion of her project, her team and her client came to Chicago to report on that completion. And because they were excited to complete that project or that portion of it, they wanted to go out on the town. Who did they turn to but me? My job, according to them, was to find a great place for dessert, dinner, and of course, happy hour. Dessert was easy because there was this really outstanding restaurant in Chicago that formed wine glasses out of chocolate and filled it with various parts of fruit and things. It's awesome dessert, easy choice. Dinner, a little bit more of a challenge. But when it came to happy hour, I knew exactly where I needed to take them. I threw them all in cabs and I whisked them to the John Hancock building. And we whooshed up the elevator to the very top floor, where it's a 360-degree view of Chicago. From that beautiful location, you can watch airplanes taking off and landing at O'Hare. You can look out on a sunset evening and see sailboats on Lake Michigan. It's an absolutely beautiful place for happy hour. The doors of the elevator open to the cacophony of everybody in Chicago being right there for the exact same reason that I brought everybody there. But I knew the secret to how to find a great table, because tucked away in a corner was a round table that was sort of stuck behind the bar. Most people didn't know it was there, but I did, and I knew how to get to it. So I told my party to hang out by the elevator, and I took off along one side of the building, and then I turned right along another side of the building. And that's when I saw him coming straight at me. When I dodged to the right, he dodged to the right. When I dodged to the left, he dodged to the left. And then I got right up almost nose to nose with him and realized it was my reflection in a mirror. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Rick. Rick is working on his dynamic leadership level 3, increasing knowledge. And the purpose of his project was connecting with storytelling. Well done, Rick. Thank you very much. And now we're going to our icebreaker, speaker number 2, Ervlyn Young, with her ice-breaking speech from Presentation Mastery Level 1, Mastering Fundamentals, with her speech entitled Slow Down. Ervlyn Young.
Ladies and gentlemen, what would you say to your children when they ask you very difficult questions to answer? For example, Dad, will you marry an alien? Dad, Is my mother prettier than the aliens? Throughout my childhood, when my parents didn't know how to answer my question, they will look at me deeply into my eyes and say, "You will know the answer when you grow up." When I eventually grow up and ask them the very same questions, they will say, "I'm sure life has given you the answer." On a rainy evening, a 3-year-old girl was squatting near the gate of her house with her little umbrella, fervently awaiting for her father to come home. Her father was out to buy her a couple of pets. The little girl was me. The day was my birthday, and the pets that I was expecting were a couple of white, fluffy puppies that ran faster than me. As soon as my daddy came home, I would jump into his car, open the gift in excitement, and a few seconds later, I would look at the animal the way I would look at the aliens. Not white, no fluff at all, and could not run either. They were a couple of black turtles. Turtles? What is that? I looked at my daddy disappointedly and asked, "Dad, why did you buy a couple of stones?" I was only convinced that the turtles were not stones as one of them poked its head out of the shell. But I insisted to name the turtles Mr. and Mrs. Stone. I would often grab Mr. and Mrs. Stone with my 2 little hands as I ran around the garden and taught them how to run. Every time my daddy saw me forcing the turtles to evolve into fast-running dogs, he would say, "Darling, slow down. Moving slowly like turtles is good." What is good of moving slowly, Dad? As always, my daddy would speak his words of wisdom. "You will know the answer when you grow up." My grown-up life had always been fast and hectic until COVID-19 locked me down in my house for almost 2 years. Interestingly though, when the world paces down and pauses, I found that I've been able to labor less, connect more, spend less, save more, eat out less, and work out more. Yeah, less is more. That's probably the principal benefit of slowing down. Before 2020, I went to the gym once a week and I would take 1 month gap every other month. Since 2020, as I freed up a lot of time on commuting, traveling, and social gatherings, I have been working out 10 times as much and managed to lose 18 pounds. What would you do in the first place when you lose so much weight? Of course, change your profile picture on your WhatsApp to officially declare your victory in the battles against your balloon-like belly. Looking at my profile picture, my best friend called me up. "Ervlyn, you look so skinny. I heard that Indonesia was badly hit by COVID-19. Don't you have enough food to eat?" Actually, COVID-19 helps me save up to $1,000 more each month. Since February 2020 to date, 22 months times $1,000, my additional pool of saving has added up to $22,000. You know what it means? $22,000 is Online Presenters Club due for 220 years. Even my turtles might not live that long. As years elapsed, my turtles, Mr. and Mrs. Stone, have quadrupled in size, and my daddy is so sure that the turtles are gonna live longer than us. They would one day have the honor to attend our funerals. Thanks to COVID-19 lockdown, I got a lot of chances to sit together with my daddy, chit-chatting in our little comfy yard as we fed the turtles with veggies and meatballs. When was the last time I spent this quality time together with my dad feeding turtles? It was back in my primary school years before my daddy got so busy with his expanding business. Ladies and gentlemen, it appears that our busy lifestyle has ripped us of a lot of simple pleasure that allows us to bond better with our family and friends. Last night in a casual chat, I asked my daddy again, Dad, what's the benefit of moving slowly like turtles? He responded in confidence, I'm sure life has given you the answer. Back to Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Ervlyn, and your excellent icebreaker. And honestly speaking, I was hoping for another question about, Daddy, are you going to marry alien? Oh, the life has not taught you that lesson yet. It was brilliant. Thank you. I enjoyed that. And now we're going to our speaker number 3. And speaker number 3 for today's evening is Pamela Benjamin, DTM. And with her speech, The Benefits of Cardio, Pamela is working on Strategic Relationship Level 3, Increasing Knowledge. And the purpose of her speech is to inspire the audience. Pamela Benjamin and her speech, The Benefits of Cardio.
Dear online presenters, friends and guests, pretty soon it's going to be 2022. Pretty soon. Let me see. We have 32 days. And I have a question for all of you. I'd like you to put it in the chat. What are your fitness goals for 2022? Let me see. How many people have thought of them? Raise your hand if you have no fitness goals for 2022. I see a lot of blank spares. Be active, be alive. Andy's going to be alive. Stretch every day. Who else has a fitness goal? Eat less. Virtually active. I would like to challenge you. I have a call to action. You see, my life started to slowly change when I became a runner. I was running a lot, but I knew I didn't want to go into marathons. So someone suggested I become a triathlete because I like to ride my bike and I had swam all my life. Here's some lessons I've learned being a triathlete. You can go really, really fast, or you can go really, really far. And I would like to explain to you some of the things I've learned on endurance training and heart rate specifically. But before we do that, I am going to show you a graph of some heart rate information. You've probably seen it before, but we're going to go over some numbers first. Now, these are some numbers and some big website, Mayo Clinic, Harvard Health, and American Heart Association says all of this same thing. You need at least 150 minutes of moderate exercise or 75 minutes of vigorous. 75 minutes of vigorous or 150 minutes of moderate. Well, what does that mean? How do I determine what that is? I'm going to be your fitness coach here, and I'm going to help you figure out what that means. Now, this traditional way of understanding that is to take 220, subtract your age, and that is your maximum heart rate. I am 60 years old, so my maximum heart rate is 160. This is all going to make sense pretty soon. So think about what your number is. 220, subtract your age. Now what we're going to do is we're going to multiply that number by 0.5 or 1/2. Half of 160 is 80. That's the lowest level of my heart rate when I'm doing cardio, which means if I'm below 80, I'm not really doing anything that's challenging my heart. So my lowest level is half of that maximum rate. Okay, does that make sense now? Now here's a chart. If you go to the internet, there's so many charts and there's so many ways that they slice and dice these numbers up. But this is a nice, simple way of thinking of it. The very, very light cardio is 50 to 60. So half and a little bit more. Light is a little bit 60 to 70, moderate 70 to 80. Hard is challenging, and maximum is getting all the way up to would be 160 for me. Running at 160 would be incredibly challenging. I've gone up to 160 for a little bit, but I come down. What I'd like for you to think about is, what is your heart rate? What is the minimum down here and what is the moderate? So I want you to think about two numbers, half of your maximum, and then I want you to take your maximum number and multiply it times 0.7. If someone has a hard time with a challenge doing that multiplication, Nick, the math man, will help them. So text Nick your maximum rate, then ask him what your lowest one is, which is half, and then 0.7. And then we're going to work with those two numbers, okay? Going back to being a triathlete. When I started training on my own, I thought that to really be fit, I would have to work really, really hard all the time and get my heart rate up super, super high and hold it as long as I couldn't hold it very long. And after I read some training manuals, specifically the Triathlon Bible, they talked about, most people, when they talk about training, they talk about the length of the distance that they travel. They never ever talk about heart rate. So 2022 is just around the corner. And I'd like you to hold those two numbers in your mind. What are your numbers? What is half of your maximum and what is 0.7 of your maximum? And I would like to challenge everyone in this room to reach those targets somewhere between the half and 70%. I would like you to reach that either 75 minutes to 150 minutes every single week. Now you might say, that sounds like a big job. What's in it for me? I'll tell you what's in it for you. Those websites and many other sources say that those doing that activity will dramatically, not a little bit, will dramatically reduce your chance of getting severe illness or death. It's a win-win, isn't it? Half of that heart rate is just a brisk walk. Taking a brisk walk for 2 to 3 hours a week will dramatically change your life. Doing it consistently will bring incredible gains. Now you might say, Pam, I'm already doing those things. Okay, find another project, find another way to increase your heart rate for longer during the week. It will dramatically change your life. Because even though I've told you a lot of different numbers, what it really gives you, it gives you quality of life. It gives you the ability to do things, go to the park with your grandkids, go grocery shopping, and just have so much more energy. So dear friends, that's my call to action for you for 2022, to have a fitness goal, to think about it and report back, because I'm going to be watching.
Thank you very much, Pamela. By the way, when you asked that question about our goals for 2020 and I put down eat less, I just realized it's not enough. Not enough. I should exercise and work out more with cardio. So thank you for that. Now let's ask our timer for today, Mr. Nick Lakani, for his timer report. Mr. Timer. All right, so I can see Mr. Timer put it in a box. Please comment on that.
Everybody's on time, on schedule, and very engaging. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day.
Well, brilliant. So all three speakers are qualified for voting. And now my message to you, fellow online presenters and guests, you can vote for the best speaker. Vote for the best speaker. Our vote counter, Lucas Calafel, just puts a note in the chat box. This is what you can do by following that link. Click on the link and place your vote now. With this voting, I think the first half, first part of the evening has come to conclusion. And we move into another very interesting and one of my favorite parts of the evening is table topics. Oh, those mysterious table topics or impromptu speeches. And the queen of table topics today in our club is Deborah Carr. Deborah Carr, please tell us what you're going to do and how we're going to do it.
Well, we are going to take a trip together, fellow Toastmasters. And this is something that is going to be quite unique for all of us because I don't believe this club has ever done this. So what we're going to do is with this trip, I'm going to start out with the introduction and how it's going to work. And then you're going to take it from there. And as each speaker, as soon as each speaker finishes their 2 to 3 minutes, I'll call on someone else. So tonight of all times, naturally, almost everyone has a role. So we're just going to double up with it. It'll be fun. Put on your creative hats because this is going to be unique. So table topics. Tonight, what we will be doing is we're going to take this trip. We might go and see all the aliens. We might go to the Himalayas or wherever this takes us. You have the option when you speak to switch it up, to keep going with the thread as it was. But either way, you're the next person that's directing the plane or the boat or whatever we're on. So I hope you put on your thinking caps, use all your senses, and get ready. So I have everything packed, ready to go. I can't wait to take this trip, and it's so exciting because we're almost ready to take off. I kind of overpacked, but I know I might not need very many things. So, gosh, Kimberly, will you take it from there?
Sure, this is a wonderful opportunity. I'm already packed too. I didn't need to pack too much because I've decided I'm going to go to a deserted private island. I need to get into the sunlight. So we're going to fly there. And on the way there, I see a spaceship. It's very interesting. I just keep going though, because I'm thinking about how beautiful it would be once I get on that island. I get to the island, I unpack, I go out to spend time on the beach. I walk around in nature. The ocean is so beautiful. The sun is shining so bright. I feel like dancing. I think I'll go over to the dance floor to dance for a little while and to have a couple of drinks. I'm so glad I decided not to invite anybody on this trip because I'm having the time of my life.
And Angela, take it from there.
And the reason why I'm having a time of my life is because I always wanted to go to Alaska. Because I heard that in Alaska, you can see more aliens than any other state in the Union. And so while I'm having that drink, there's this guy who's sitting right next to me. And I told him, I came here to look for aliens. And, you know, while I'm here, I'm going to dance and have some fun. And he said, well, are you adventurous or not? If you take a walk with me, I'll show you where the aliens have been sighted numerous times. And so as we bundle up and we begin to walk out toward this wooded area, I'm looking at him and all of a sudden his eyes turn green. So I got a chance to actually see an alien. He was seated right next to me in the bar. And you can take it back from there, Deborah Carr.
Intimate. Take it from there.
Thank you very much. I will take you all of you to the Yellow Knife area, where there are northern lights are there. And if you see the northern lights, it's like a dancing green lights. And people are saying that maybe the aliens are there, and they are putting the lights on around the mountains. So and this is a very fascinating experience, and lots of people, especially in the winter season, just go there and see the northern lights. So I will, and these are mesmerizing effects on your mood, and so I will definitely want to take you to that place. Thank you, Debbie.
Marty, where are you taking us? Are you staying on track with the Northern Lights, or are we going somewhere else?
Well, I'll tell you, we are going to a place you cannot imagine, because it's a nexus of the multiverse. And from that place, which is a tiny little world of its own at the hub of many universes, we can go to many, many places. But we have to be careful, because if we go to the wrong place, we won't be able to breathe. We might even freeze to death or burn. So we look around looking for some place that looks vaguely hospitable. And when we find one, there it is. You, my next friend, may take it from there.
And next we have Hector. I know Hector is going to continue. We're going somewhere, Hector. What are we doing?
Well, just imagine how Marty has opened this nexus of the multiverse and all the possibilities that this brings to our lives. Where we can go is limitless. Of course, as you enter, there's this huge cacophony of all different sounds and jets and lights that come mesmerizing your senses, as Imtinan help us imagine with those lights in the northern lights. And what are the aliens now? Now you are the alien to them. What it will be, because we have this image of the green being with these black eyes, like in Louis Brown's background. But imagine now, that's how they see me now, in this strange mixture of words. What it will be like, Deborah Carr.
And Nick Lacani, where are we going?
We are going to Deep Space Nine. You know, the Star Trek series. Now, we're going to get there on the Starship Enterprise, of course, and we're going to go to DS9, as it's called, and then we're going to use that as a jump-off point to go boldly where no person has ever gone before. Now, that's all very well, and I love the action of all these kind of series and movies and everything. But have you ever asked yourself, Do they have any other clothes? They just wear the same uniform, don't they? Some blue, some red, always black trousers. Do they ever sleep? Yeah, they do. Well, apart from 7 of 9 in one of the other series, she used to regenerate. But these uniforms really get me because they're so fit and tanned. Well, not tanned. They're a little bit, not tanned. But the uniforms are sprayed on, aren't they? Really? They're not really baggy or stylish. They don't wear it with a belt and leave it out. It's always the same. Why is that so interesting? I don't know. Maybe because we don't have to worry about what they're wearing. Have you ever considered that? Wearing exactly the same clothes every day at work? You don't need to choose. Oh, is it red? Is it blue? Is it purple? Is it pink? I have that problem every day. I want to do what Mark Zuckerberg does. Jeans and a hoodie. That's it. And that's even on special occasions. Then there's more room for thought up here. Now, where are you going to take us, Madam Toastmaster? Table Topics Master.
I think Lucas is going to take us somewhere.
Yes, as a matter of fact, we've gone to a spaceship, we've made our way outside of Earth's orbit. And while I like the Deep Space Nine and the Enterprise, I find myself interested in finding some Marvel characters. So we're out looking for the Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know where they are. Where can I pinpoint them in the universe? Marty, maybe you can help me out with that. But we're looking for them. I want to find Star-Lord and that talking raccoon. You might think it's CGI, but it's not. It's absolutely real. It exists. And we're going to go look for them. We're going to explore all these different planets. We're going to go even further beyond what the Starfleet has gone to before. We're going to start an intergalactic Toastmasters club, and it will be the best club in the known galaxy. And we're very inclusive, so aliens of all sorts and kinds are welcome in that club as well. And we will have a great time. Back to you, to our fearless leader in this trip, Deborah Carr.
Boy, it's been a great time. I am so glad I packed my bathing suit because that's exactly what I needed as we wrap this up. And thank God I didn't have to put it on because things change as you become a little bit more seasoned. Back to you. I give it right over to Jim Barber, who is our general evaluator for tonight. Thanks so much. It was fun.
Well, thank you, Deborah. I think before we jump to our general evaluator, perhaps we could ask one of our companions for the trip today, Mr. Nick McManey, for the timers report.
Thank you.
And Nick McManey, just for the timers report.
Everybody qualified, and they really did go where no one has been before. Back to you.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Timer and Madam Table Topics Master. What a journey that was. I think now about time to get to the third part of the evening. Personally, my favorite part, evaluations. And the general evaluator for the evening, Mr. Jim Barber. Please take it away.
With pleasure, Mr. Toastmaster of the day. As general evaluator, it's my pleasure to present the evaluation portion of the meeting. Since we are all experienced Toastmasters, there's no reason to explain why we are evaluating. I will remind you that our evaluations are timed. Keep your evaluations to 2 to 3 minutes each, please. Our evaluators this evening are not aliens. However, they are out of this world evaluators, and I am delighted to have such experienced evaluators doing it. Our first speaker was Rick Durling, and we are privileged to have evaluating Rick's presentation, Graham Cairns. Take it away, Graham.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, Toastmasters, friends. The purpose of Rick's speech tonight being the exploring storytelling is specific to tell a story, to engage us, to make us feel a part of that story. Many stories use the once upon a time format, and that works really well for a very good reason. And Rick did that really well tonight. He gave us a once upon a time story. I really liked his backgrounding of the story, the fact that he told us where this took place, why it was taking place, why he was there. One observation I would make for Rick is that the introduction to his speech, which he provided to the Toastmaster, actually contained much of the information which Rick used in his opening, and it almost had an echo effect. So it's worth bearing that in mind. Having said that, I like the background to the story. I like the story itself, with one reservation, which I'll get to in a moment. There were some lovely gestures that were used. He spoke about the elevator whooshing up, pointing out the horizons. That worked really well. But this was a speech which actually might have lent itself well, not to standing up as Rick did, but to sitting and just being a raconteur and telling us a story as if he were sitting at a bar sharing this with us. You might like to consider that, particularly for this format, Rick. I'm not sure that the punchline in this story worked well. I'm assuming the punchline of the story was the sheer embarrassment of, oh, that's me. I'm big noting myself to all of these people saying, where's the best place to sit? And I don't even recognize that that's a mirror in front of me. If that was the punchline, it didn't quite fire. You had about another minute to build more tension and then to break that tension with embarrassment. Use the time if necessary. I'd also like to see Rick use some actual dialogue rather than just say, she said this, I said that. Actually have characters in the story using dialogue. That engages us more. But it was a fun story. It was a fascinating story. And I want to hear more, not only of Rick's adventures in restaurants far and wide, but also of that relationship with his lovely wife, which I think this painted a picture as well. So well done, Rick, on an excellent story. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Graham. An insightful evaluation. Our second presentation this evening was by Ervlyn Young, and we are honored to have evaluating Ervlyn's presentation, the one, the only, Andy Byrne. Take it away, Andy.
Thank you very much, Mr. General Evaluator, and most thank you to Evelyn on providing her icebreaker. Now, an icebreaker is that speech where a new member or older member that has joined the club utilizes to get to have everyone in the club learn a little bit more about you. And you certainly accomplished that goal. You introduced a number of different things. We've all experienced a shared experience with COVID, and most people in the COVID experience would say that they gained weight, but no, you lost weight, 19 pounds. Wow, very impressive. You also learned to manage your experience of not having to pay for travel and other going out to dinner, and you saved a lot of money. You saved over $1,000 a month, and that's very impressive. I think it's very atypical compared to what everybody else talks about in COVID, which is they gain 10 to 15 pounds. You, on the other hand, lost 19 pounds. So you're doing something right and can teach seminars on that. You used humor. Your title, Slow Down, was a entryway into the whole speech. The talk of the turtles. In your story, you had multiple characters. You had yourself, your father, your mother, the pets, which you were hoping for dogs, and you got two turtles, which you called Mr. and Mrs. Stone. Again, humor injected all over the place. What did you do well? You had a cohesive, flowing story, good use of clear language. You had good vocal range. You had a great message. For all those workaholics out there, you turned COVID into a strength for you. You made it so that you could save money and do the other things that you wanted to do and serve as an example to all of us. So that was excellent. What would I recommend you do? Perhaps as you go further along, you could introduce some props, like if you had a stuffed turtle, you could have brought out Mr. and Mrs. Turtle and showed it to all of us. That would have added additional humor to that we already have. I love your smile like you just did. You didn't have very many gestures, but again, this is an icebreaker. What you did well, great message, great humor, engagement of the audience, and we learned a lot about you. Thank you very much, Mr. Journal Evaluator.
Thank you, Andy. Great suggestions. Our third speaker this evening was Pamela Benjamin, and I deeply appreciate our president, who didn't have anything better to do, stepping up at the last minute and saying that he would serve as Pamela's evaluator. So please help me welcome our president, overworked president and evaluator, Lou Brown.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and of course, Toastmaster Benjamin. Let me first comment on your overall speech structure before I kind of dive into some more details about your project and your speech. Your opening, not bad. Dear friends and guests, pretty soon it will be 2022. Do you have a health goal? I think I got it fairly close. But how about something even more impactful? Something that makes us open up our ears even wider. How about something like, you can add up to 10 years to your life? How? Listen closely. Your speech was very well organized. You had clearly distinguishable parts, the open, the body, and the close. Now, while it isn't necessary to have such distinguishable parts, it certainly helps us evaluators as we're evaluating your speech. Very good segmentation and flow of your points. I like how you shared your cardio activity of choice, some information on heart rate and tips on how best to measure it and implement. And of course, my favorite, the benefits of cardio. And of course, a close with a very clear call to action. Set a fitness goal and report back to you. You're not just letting us off the hook by just making a goal. We got to tell you what it is and report back to you on that. Here's what I thought you did very well. Audience interaction. Right off the bat, put your goals in the chat. What is it? You had a variety of props, graph, charts, very easy to understand, not very crowded, very interesting, and very relevant with the statistics. Very nice presence. I really like, you have a very pleasing voice. So it really makes me very engaged and interested in hearing what you have to say. And of course, you fulfilled the objective. You inspired me, and I'm sure you did our fellow Toastmasters as well. Here's what I'd like you to work on a little bit further. I noticed you were not looking at the camera. I don't know if you're looking at notes or the thumbnail video. So think about looking at the camera directly when you speak to your audience. You did have a very good pause at one time where you mentioned something about adding years to our life. Then you had us thinking about that. I challenge you to put a few more pauses in there here and there, especially around where you were showing the chart so that we can read some of the information you have on there and absorb it more. Here is something new for you to try. Vocal variety. I mentioned your voice is very pleasing and your inflection was pretty nice, but how about taking that to an even higher level? I want to see your passion really come through, because being a triathlete, being a fitness guru and a fitness expert, I just know that you really have a lot of passion for that and excitement talking about this. So I'd like to see even more of that excitement come out, especially with a project of this sort. Great speech, excellent and timely subject matter given the time of year that this is, and very inspiring. And as a matter of fact, I am going to put my fitness goal together right after this meeting. Back to you, Mr. GE.
Thank you, President Brown. Appreciate the evaluation. Mr. Timer, Nick, how did our evaluators do?
Everybody was in time, and I'm putting the results into the chat right now.
Thank you very much, sir. And we should be seeing in the chat in a few moments, please vote for the best evaluator this evening. And while you are doing that, I'm going to call on the people with supporting roles, starting with our grammarian, Hector Cabrera. Hector, you were our grammarian this evening. How did we do?
It did very well, Mr. General Evaluator. First, I'll start with the word of the day, cacophony. It was used once by Graham on the chat, once by Rick, his speech, and once by me. If I miss someone, forgive me, but those are the ones that I recorded. Now, the grammarian role is a role that I am really afraid of. I try to avoid all the time because English is not my first language. I don't feel I have a good command of it to tell you if you're using English correctly or not. But I love when some language with pictures in my head and help me learn some words. Today I hear being a foodie by Rick. I didn't know that was one thing. That person that enjoys or is ardent about interest in food, even as a hobby, I'd say, oh my God, I want to do that. I hear about whoosh up in an elevator. I didn't know whoosh up was a word. And I look it up and it certainly is to a swift explosive rush. So obviously it was not only very well used, but also I've been in that elevator and that's the best definition I can think. That's exactly how my ears sound when you're going up the Hancock Tower. Then Ervlyn used the phrase when the world paces us down, which it's contrary to what we feel every day, but it was excellent because that's exactly what COVID did to the world. And I like that expression when you have victory over your balloon-like belly, which was one of my challenges this year. I also lost some weight and I feel connected, but just that victory over yourself, I love that. Now, Deborah, you use the word or the phrase, put your creative hat on, which I've heard many times, but I like it because I don't consider myself a creative person. And just that idea that I can, for a minute, put it on and play, that I am a creative person. It's what it takes to be creative. So I really like that. And also the
Hector,
use
could you bring it home, please?
Yes, nexus of the universe. I had the knowledge that nexus was a link between two things until I hear it today, which is this gateway to a cross-dimensional universe. So I learned a lot of English tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Hector. Great grammarian report. We appreciate that. Lucas, you're the vote counter, but if I could tear you away from counting votes for a moment, you were also the Wizard of Oz this evening. How did we do?
Okay, I'm going to share my screen, and what you can see now is how we did as far as the crutch words. If you look at column B, you're sure to find your name there if you did speak during the meeting. And if you look at column O, you can see the total number of crutch words that you used, and everything in between shows the specific crutch words that you may have used throughout the entire time of our meeting. For our total, we ended up with 33, so I think that's pretty good. As always, we can help reduce that, and our choice crutch word of the day seems to be off for this evening, coming at 40%. Back to you.
Thank you, Wizard of Oz. Mr. Wizard, I think that is the most impressive counters report I have ever seen. Angela, you were our watcher this evening. What did you watch?
I was watching, and I tell you, I saw some really interesting things. I loved how Nick got into his spaceship and he got right into the alien thing. Lou scared me with his realistic looking aliens, and Andres too. I mean, and then I didn't even know Hector was there with the spaceship parking area. That was so cool. I thought it was just like a regular parking place. That was really cool. So I enjoyed that. I do have an area for improvement for all of us. I noticed that many of us are sitting very low, like Lucas, I can just see your face. I don't see your shoulders at all when I'm looking at you. So I think we all need to sit up a little straighter. And Graham, I saw your head numerous times because you were sitting very low also, and your name is right at your chin. And Andy, I'm gonna encourage you, you're sitting up straight now, but I noticed that quite a few times when I looked up, we had all of our members were like this. And so we need to, as my mom used to tell me, elongate your spine, honey. Elongate our spines. Back to you.
Thank you, Angela. And now that she's given her report, everybody can slump again. Finally, Intamin, you are our chat monitor this evening. What was going on in the chat room?
Yeah, thank you very much, General Evaluator. So my role was to see the chat. So people are very active in using chat box. Some people are more active, like Graham is using a chat box more than 3 times. And also Graham is using the word of day in the chat. And Andrew also talked about the aliens, which is a topic now. And Pamela also forced the people to use chat box. And 3 guys responded with a walk response. And 2 guys responded with a yoga. And yeah, so most of the people used chat box very effectively. Yeah, so this is my final report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Imtanan. Appreciate that. Good report. Finally, it's my opportunity to evaluate the meeting as a whole. As far as the meeting goes, this was a terrific meeting. I have nothing to say about that, no improvements in that direction. I do have a suggestion, but actually I'm talking to the wrong people in doing that, because kudos to everybody for showing up here tonight. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But we had 15 members and one I hope is going to soon be a member, Kimberly. It's very hard to put on a meeting with 15 members. We need at least 4 or 5 more members, would just give it a little bit of cushion. Before the meeting, we were really scrambling, trying to fill roles, and Lou had to be president, Lou had to be an evaluator, Lucas was filling in 2 roles, and we're an advanced club. We shouldn't have to do that. So again, I'm not scolding everybody here. I deeply appreciate everybody here being here. This is for the people who are listening in on the replay. Why weren't you here? Andy started the presentation talking about the importance of earning goals, or earning your paths, completing levels and that sort of thing. And that is important, but that doesn't make it if we don't have active participation at the meetings. So please, everybody, remember, this is the place to learn and grow, and you can only do that by getting involved. So please, again, I'm not talking to the people that are here. You did great. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. And that's my evaluation of the meeting. Lucas, have you had an opportunity to do the vote counting?
Yes, I have. And I'd be more than happy to share the results with everyone.
Please do.
So for best evaluator, we have Lou Brown. For our best table topic speaker, Starfleet Commander Nick Lacani. And for our best speaker of the meeting, Ervlyn Young.
Thank you very much, Lucas. Appreciate your doing that. Appreciate your pulling down 2 roles this evening. That completes the evaluation portion of the meeting. I will return control to our Toastmaster of the day for any last-minute comments that he might have to do. Andre Smalenko, take it away, Andre.
Thank you very much, Mr. General Evaluator. Stephanie. I couldn't add anything to what already has been said by General Evaluator. I personally had a fabulous evening. I learned new things about aliens, about evaluation. I didn't take part in table topics, so perhaps next time would be nice to see more members as well, definitely taking part. But before I wrap up and pass the stage on to our club presidents, I want to leave you with one thing, one historical fact again about aliens. Apparently, all that big idea and debate about aliens was introduced in 20th century by physicist Enrico Fermi. Enrico Fermi posed the famous question, with the scope of all our universe, why haven't we found intelligent extraterrestrial life yet? Or why haven't they found us? And that question just exploded in pop culture and the search for extraterrestrial life. And I'll leave you to decide for yourself if they exist or they don't. Is it important or not? To me, it is. They exist. And I leave you with that. Pass the stage on to our club president, Lou Brown.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day. Wonderful meeting, everyone. Thank you, Andre, for being Toastmaster and also helping to put the roles, all your helpers together, along with Jim and I think a couple other people as well. So great effort in doing all that. And thank you to your team, of course, for being part of the meeting. It certainly helps keep everything on time and everything flowing well with such a professional advanced club. Someone had mentioned in the chat, and I feel the same way in a few of my other clubs. I wouldn't say it's so disorganized, but even though they are non-advanced clubs, they're still kind of working on how to operate as a club, not just in a virtual environment, just simply as a club. So this is really great to be part of this organization. And yes, as Jim mentioned, thank you to everyone who is here. I also encourage those who are listening to this on the replay to please join us for our next meeting. I am guessing perhaps all of that turkey and football, maybe a stayed up very late, just a little hungover perhaps in not making it here today, but we hope to see you at next week's meeting. We do have our Zoom Mastery event coming up on December 13th. David Carr is putting that together. And then contest season is kind of right around the corner. So our VPE and myself will be discussing that along with the entire executive board. That's about it for announcements. I will officially close the meeting with my invisible gavel before then turning control over to our VPE for the usual role fulfillment. But before we do that, Nick has his hand raised.
Hi, just wanted to mention, you mentioned the Zoom session on the December 13th. One of the things about this is not a technical session per se only. It's about the whole idea and the production of a show or an event. So it's not just pressing buttons. It's about mindset and ideas and about output and vision. Thank you.
Excellent. Yes, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Okay, meeting closed. Please turn off the recording. Oh, Jim, do you want to make an announcement for the recording?
Not an announcement per se, but she's not a first-time guest, but I was wondering if possibly Kimberly might have a comment.
Yes, thank you, sir. Sorry, Kimberly.
That's okay. I just wanted to share a few things that I've been learning since I've been coming to visit. I've learned the importance in using your space. I've also learned the importance of having a good background and being able to be clearly seen when you're speaking. I notice how important that is to make sure that is okay. And I've also learned that there's more than one way to do table topics. I really enjoyed that table topics for today. And I'm learning about the virtual eye contact. That's a little different than it is in person. So I'm getting used to that. And I also like the odd counter report. I like how that was used as a spreadsheet. It was really easy to understand. You can just go to your name and select to see how many ums or ahs you have. But everything's been great. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And yes, eye contact with the camera is very key. I noticed I mentioned that for Pamela's speech, but I had to take my own medicine as well because I find myself looking at the thumbnails a lot more than the actual camera. So great observation. Okay, now the meeting is officially closed, but stick around for our after hours party with our special VPE moment first.